So last time we discussed about the types, what are we having as in control flow and the data flow and as well as parameters and event handlers and all stuff. So let me recall once what we discussed in the first session of the SSIS tutorial. So we discussed about what we will be having inside this solution explorer. We'll be having our solution and as well as the number of projects that we have. So this is our project, demo project. Demo is the project name that I've given. And this git changes and getting started. This is like this git will be learning if you want to like push your codes into Git repositories or get your codes from Git. It's actually team foundation services that you can learn it online or we'll see how it goes. And getting started, nothing much. Properties, it has properties of our project and stuff, where it is located and what is its name. If there is any other properties that will be displayed in here for the properties. And we have the toolbox available here. So toolbox contents, I mean the tools will keep on changing on selection of this particular windows. So if I've selected a control flow, that will be data flow task, execute SQL task, and like several other tasks, FTP task, file system task, and so on. So if I go to data flow, this particular toolbox will change its contents to destination assistant, source assistant, and what we like. These are the things that we discussed in the previous session. And how do we create source and how do we create destinations and how do we create connection managers. So this we will be discussing once more because this is one of the pretty important one. And if you go on the parameters, again, this toolbox will be different. So there is no tools for the parameters. For event handlers, again, it says the same. There are plenty of tasks available for the event handler. And this package explorer will be our what do you call our SSIS project structure itself. So it's almost the same, but the difference is that it is project specific. I mean that it's specific to demo. So that's how we can call it. And we saw how do we add a data flow task. So it's as a red. So whatever the task that you wanted to execute as part of your uh, the SSS package, so that you will be defining in here. So all the data related things that you will be putting under the data flow task. So I've shown you how to create like a multiple data flow tasks. So it's just like drag and drop for the new ones. It goes on like that. And you can rename these things. Just click on the name. You can just rename. And same way, for the corresponding data flow task, this particular data flow task will be available, data flow window. So if you select for this DF1 and DF data flow task 2, which we have in here. So that will be for corresponding, that will be for each and every corresponding data flow task. So if I double click on this data flow task, it will take me to this particular data flow task window, which has OLEDB source and destination available for me. And this DFT1, which I have added just now, I will click on this. So it has nothing been defined in here. So for now, we will work on data flow task, which is the old one. And let me remove the other two. So what we should be doing to remove, either just select select the task and right click and just delete, or just select the task. In the keyboard, you have delete button, just click on it. It will go off. So for now, we have source defined with the connection manager, AdventureWorks with AdventureWorks database. And I have taken into consideration that person's address table. Okay, are we clear so far? This we did discuss in the previous session. And we should talk about destination now. So, before you might have seen a cross mark in this particular section of area. So that said us that there is some error on this tile that we should be rectifying before we execute our SSIS package. So just like this. So for that, we just went and double clicked on it. It says what is the connection manager that you want to use and data access mode, which one you want to use. If you go on SQL command, this will give you the SQL command to write in here. I just want the table of view. So name of the tables, which one I want to use. So as it is a destination one, I'd like to create a new table. So for this, I have defined my person.address table as a. So this data flow task, this particular data flow task will consider address table from AdventureWorks database as its source. What I'd like to do is that I'd like to create a new table with same schema as of address. So for that, how we can do? Creating temporary tables with some keyword I told you earlier. How we can do that? Any suggestions on anyone? I'm talking to you.
Please go ahead.
Okay. No questions apart, and I'll just go on to my work then. Let me just open. Not the cursor, Anil. I was talking about creating the new tables, new temporary tables. How do we create within an instance? Let me share my other screen as well. Zoom, new share, and go with this. Okay, you might be able to see my AdventureWorks, SSMS window as well now. So in here, I have my database AdventureWorks. In that, I have some table called people.address. So person.address in particular. So I want to use this row, this table, person dot address. So it has around 19,000 rows, 19,614 rows available for me, but with like all the address lines that are available, uh, I don't have any idea what is this spatial location row GUID. Row GUID is one of the surrogate column, you can say, which actually it's a GUID which generates automatically when we define it as to generate automatically. And I would like to create a new table, select into temp address from. So this is the way that we create temporary tables in an instance. So what it does, it copies all the data of person.address into temp address table. Temp address table is a new one. So it says 19,614 rows affected. So I'd like to use this table as my, the destination table. So let me select. I'd like to delete all the rows from this particular table. So for that, I just want the table structure. For this, I used the method called creating temporary table and truncate all the table data. So it says commands complete successfully. So you can see no data available in my table, temp address. No, this table. Coming back to Visual Studio. So source I have defined for my with my one of connection managers, and I define my table as person.address. And if I want to go on like search for the columns, what is it available? What's the data like? What are the columns that are available? You can go to this particular option called columns, and the error output. What like where we should keep our the the data which caused an error. So this error output which comes under error handling, that we will be discussing in detail later sessions. For now, I've defined the source, and now I'd like to define the destination as well. So in here, my connection manager is same, which I use for source as well. And I'd like to go with table view data access method. And I'd like to put into one, database table, which is this temp address, which I've created just a while back. So I'd like to use this table as my destination table. So source will be person.addresses, person.address, and the destination is temp address table. And for this, the source table is there and the destination table is there. But how my SSIS package will get to know that which columns has to put, which columns from source table has to put into which columns of destination table. So for that, to define that, we have something called mappings in here. Okay, so in this mapping, you'll notice all the data columns, all the columns from the database table are available for us. So if you could notice, my SSIS engine has already mapped with the several data columns automatically. That is because it checks for the names first. These are from the source table and these are from the destination table. So if the names are matching, so address ID and address ID name has been matched. So it directly mapped to that particular column. And address line 1 to address line 1, and same way modified date to modified date. Same way, if you want to change something, so like I'd like to keep this address line 1 from a table 1 or table source table should go into address line 2 of the destination table. For that, I can just go on change this source to you know, this particular connection has been lost now. You will have multiple options available here if it is not matched properly. So that also will discuss with a new destination table being created. So this is the mapping part that you should consider doing it whenever you create a new data flow task. And inside that, you map a source and destination. So are we clear so far? Okay, what it says again. So this particular tile, not remove this, address ID column. It has some failure inserting into read-only column address ID. So for this, what I should do, I should just, so I just removed this address ID columns mapping itself. So this now has my cross marks being removed now. So this is all about our SSIS. We define a source and we define a destination, and the data flow will happen from source to destination. So let's see what we have in a temp address table. So it has nothing available in this. So as the column address ID being mentioned as that read-only column, we will not be able to enter any data explicitly. So for that, in the mapping section, I have removed the address ID mapping from source to destination such that all the data from address line 1 to till the end, which is modified date, that should copy from source to destination. That we'll see. So here, my source and destination has been defined now. It says, I guess it's all good now. Let us save this and start executing. If you had noticed, there was a cross mark on this tile as well previously. That is because this had one cross mark among one of these. So whatever the data flow task that is available in here, if it has any of the error mark defined on it, that particular, the flow task will have some errors. Okay, let me start executing this. It says build complete, 0 errors, 0 warnings. And this autos and call stack, I don't want it for now. I will just hide them. So this is my connection manager. See, if you could notice, there are some tick marks on the tile, not inside the one, no, on the tiles. So it just fetched records from OLEDB source and that are of 19,614 rows and dropped into OLEDB destination table. This is how my data just flowed through, just gone through. So this data flow task also got a tick mark that says the task execution is successful. We'll see if data is available in my temp address or not. So this is the destination address that we have given. Okay. So let's execute this. Here you could notice all the data available in the columns in the temp address table. So how we did this? Using the SSIS package. So this is all about SSIS basic package. I can just read from one source and put it into one destination. That's all it is about. But in between that, what we do is the one that we should consider. Okay, have we got till here? Clear so far? I hope I'm clear. Let me move on to the next one, which is in the data flow only. Let me stop the execution here. What if I want to see the data when my execution is going on? So for that, I have something called data viewer. So you can just right click on the connection. This we call as a connection between source and destination, the mapping. You can just click on it and right click. You'll find a data viewer option available for you. So just enable the data viewer option. You'll find this magnifying glass logo or symbol available for you, and save and try executing it. Here, the data has been this data viewer has given me this output window, which actually shows all the data that actually flowing through. This is of 19,614 rows data. So if you go on detach or play and pause, it will go to next step. Okay, how are we clear so far? So this is about the data viewer and how it works. Okay, let's recall what we did. We added one connection manager to say what is the connection type that I should be using, and control flow, data flow, parameters, event handlers, package manager we discussed, and what the control flow will contain. Control flow will contain all the parent tasks that are available. Data flow contains all the data flow tasks respective with the particular data flow task. And parameters we'll be discussing in the later sessions and so on. So we now have come to an end of basic creation of source and destination files in a data flow task. So I'd like to show you one more thing now, that is creating a connection manager. So how do we create a connection manager? So for that, you'll notice this connection manager window that is available for you at the bottom of your your Visual Studio window. So there you go on, just right click on it. You will see multiple connection types that is available for you. So I'd like to take another SQL Server database connection. So I will be going for new OLEDB connection. Okay. So let me go to that. It says it opens this particular window, or you guys can see this window. Okay, so this window actually to create a new connection manager. So if there are any old ones that will be discussed, I mean that will be displayed here, we are going directly for the new connection. So let's go on to the new. So this will give me like lots of other options are available for me. So what are the servers that are available for me? So that I can go and select. So it says if I just click on this drop down option, the arrow mark which is facing down, it actually gives all the servers that are available for me. So this is one way of finding what are the servers available for you. And the other one I told you, to how to find the server name with the SQL. So how is that? In the last session, we discussed about it. How do we do that? So this means you guys are not practicing. That is with one of the system variables called @ server name. So this is your server name. Just copy it and paste it here. And I would like to go with the Windows authentication as authentication type, or in the real world or in your workspace, servers will not be any more of like the servers will not be using Windows authentication quite often because the servers will have users being set up, and every user will have its own password and the username. So for that, we will be using SQL Server authentication when you're having username and password to connect to your SQL Server. So for now, I would be using Windows authentication as my internal servers only configured to the Windows authentication method. So for now, and I've selected the server name, and I should be selecting the database name. So I have these databases available. So I don't want any of these. I want to create new. For that, again, I go to, you know, I should be creating a new database in this. So what is the database name? I would say Pract database, which is for practice. Just create. So I have the database called Pract available for me now, and it has no tables available for me. If you can notice in this. So I don't have any tables available in my Pract database, which I've created newly. So I would like to use this Pract database for now. For that, I can just go and let me refresh this. It did not show up yet. Let me cancel and come back. So this is my server name and Windows authentication, and coming to this, we have Prac database available for us now. So I'd like to select that Prac database, and I'd like to, if before you go on, just click on OK. Try going for test connection. So this is actually if something is wrong with your connection manager, it will be thrown up here. So it says test connection succeeded. Then we are good to go, and just click on OK. Now we have our server name and the initial catalog as database name available for us now, and just click on OK. So it says this is one connection manager that is available for us now. This is another one that is available for us now. So if you could notice, there is like desktop -lmc iimf.adventureworks 2017 database. So this is a pretty long length name. So for that, actually, you could actually rename your connection name. That we will be discussing in our coming sessions. That is because you will be dealing with multiple connection managers that are available for you. Okay, for now, we discussed, like, we are in a conclusion that how to create a new connection manager. So if you would like to create a new file connection or any other new connection type, you have this multiple connection types that are available for you. So connecting to Excel and the text files and XML files that we will be discussing in following sessions. So we are in a conclusion that how to create a connection manager. And now we will use the different connection managers for this task, for one of our data flow tasks. So I'd like to create a new data flow task in here. So for that, before that, I'd like to show you one more thing. Let me execute this once more. So this is the data viewer. This success. Data flow inside this is also two tasks of success. And I'd like to show you what are available in this database table. So it says 58,842 rows. So this is not my count of tables, from my source table. So my source table was around 19,600 change, but I got in here like 58,000 change. So why is that? Because we did not truncate the table. So this is for SSIS, this temporary address table is just one destination server, destination table, where it should dump all your data from the source. So for that, what it did, it just taken details, all the data from person.address table and just dumped into temp address table. It did not say if the record is available or if it is not available or any of that such. So let me truncate this once. So it says no data available now. And try executing this particular task again. So this is red square button, which is to stop the debugging. And besides that, you could notice this is restart. That actually stops and starts your process again. So I'd like to restart. So my flow is done now. That I should have details in this table now. which is of 19,614 change, 614 rows. So if I execute my task one more time, just stop and start. So this is the data that is flowing from source to destination table. And just minimize it and come again in here and execute this. It has 39,228 rows available in my destination table. So this is how a basic SSIS task will work. And now I'd like to go with another table. So into some other database. So for that, how we will be doing it? So I have my packed database available for me in here, but it does not have any tables inside my packed database. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to go on, this human resource.employee table structure I would like to take. So for that, I would go with this option. Just right click on it and script table as create a new query editor window. So this we discussed in an early SQL session, and that is under how do we see the structure of the database table. So this is my structure of my database table. So for now, I don't want any of these primary keys and stuff. On my table, and I don't want any of these constraints to be available for me, because in which some of these are auto incremented, or you could notice this employee row ID, which is of new ID function. It actually creates new GUID for each and every employee. So I don't want all this. So I just go with one of my primary keys. And I don't want this window anymore. New query for the database rack. And I'd like to create a new table. This human resource, I'm gonna remove. This one, I'm going to remove. These are different types that are created along with, inside this particular database. So for this, let's make it simple, and we'll remove this flag itself. And I don't want this row ID, Q ID. Okay, no problem. This can be entered. Let me execute this. So we are under pract, and we have a table called employee. This command completed successfully, and what we have in this. It has nothing in this particular database. But when you come to AdventureWorks, employee is not available. That is because it is under human resources schema. Spelling mistake again. So it has multiple data available. That is around 290 rows. So we no longer need this. employee is tracked. It has no data available in it. We will now create a task that actually takes data from one connection manager, that is from one database, and puts into another database. So for that, I'd like to create, let me stop this execution first, then only my toolbox will be visible. So this is my toolbox. So I'd like to create one more data flow task. So for now, I don't need this database task. This data flow task. For that, I can just go on disable to save my computation time. If I don't do this, every time I execute this particular SSIS package, this will also get executed. For now, I just don't want that. So I can just go on, just disable the task. So the task which is enabled and the task which is disabled, you can notice the difference of the UI. And I'd like to name my new data flow task as DF task for different DBs. So I'll go and double click on this. It will open the data flow window. Again, let me pin this on a side, and I'd like to define a source SQL Server. I'm going with AdventureWorks. Click on OK. So name of the table is employee. I would like to use, that is here. And the columns, if you can notice, these are all the columns that are available for me. If you don't want some of the columns that should be available for the new table, you can just uncheck in here. So these are the two columns that I have removed while creating my new table in my new database. So I can just uncheck them. And if there is any error that we can handle there, and just click on OK. This will create a new OLADB source for me. And I'd like to have another destination. So for this, these are the available connection managers. I'd go on new. Again, I should be connecting to new, new server. So for that, I want my server name back on track. Let me execute this. I'll get my server name here. Just give the server name. And initial catalog will be our database, that is Prac. Click on OK. So just double click on it. If you want to continue available properties of this component, yes. So these are available. We just created it. One second, let me delete the previous one. Just double click on it. Continue with editing. Go with the another connection manager that is available for you. So this is the first one that we created at AdventureWorks. And this is the Pract database connection manager that we created just before. And I'd like to go with the same view, table of view, fast load. So I have only one table that is available for me here now. And go with column mappings. Here, I don't see any of the source columns that are available for me now here. Have you noticed why is it happening? So that is because we do not have any connection between source and destination mapped in here. So I will map one and I'll just double click on it. So here I'll just select my destination database and going forward the new table, the table that is available for me, and the mappings I should be taking care of now. So see here, this is the source one. The two flag columns that are unchecked while defining my source, OLEDB source, that are not available in here. So that's how you can just remove few columns from the source. And the other ones, you don't have like few columns in the destination and you can just, map to the, not the mapping one. You can just unmap the previous ones. That will work out. So here, I'm just gonna click on OK. That gives me, the source and destination has been mapped now. Failure inserting read-only column organization level. So it says organization level in my destination table is a read-only. So for that, I'll just gonna remove my organization mapping. This is the one. Are we sure about this? Which is the column? Organization level. Okay. So just go on mappings and I'd like to unmap this particular organization level. So for that, I'll just go and say ignore. So in the destination table of organization level column, it will have nothing in it. Or it is going to create a new GUID or a new, what you call new ID automatically while inserting the data. That we will check. That is because organization level is created as the non read only column. So just click on OK. So now my OLEDB source is set and OLEDB destination is set. You can change styles, the names of this particular tile. So I would say AdventureWorks database. Along with it, let me zoom in a bit. Okay, you might have a good visual now. AdventureWorks DB. And this I'd like to change ProactDB. It is just a name. So now the connection is set, and I would go and just click on start and see how the data has been flowing through. It says 290 rows from AdventureWorks DB to ProactDB is successful. We could say the tick marks in here. So here my data flow task also got a tick mark. That means I should have the data available in my table called employee under Proact database. Okay, let me execute this. It has some data. Okay, are we clear on this? So this is how we, we define source and destinations on the different servers. Okay, are we clear so far? using multiple connection managers and using multiple connection managers for source and destination data flow tasks and all. Okay, if we are clear here, I'm going to wind up the session in here now. So in the tomorrow session, we'll see the transformations. So in this particular window, this data flow task, we created source and destination that is extracted from this particular AdventureWorks database and loaded to this particular Pract database. So the part E and L are done inside ETL, extraction, transformation, and loading. Extraction is done from AdventureWorks database and loading is done to a Pract database. So the transformation part I'll discuss tomorrow. So we have a lot of transformations that are available. So these are all the transformations. Aggregate, conditional state data conversions, like you have plenty of them available in here. Okay, let's meet in tomorrow's session on the same time. Please be on the time.